Hey everyone, welcome to the Church Brand Guide podcast. My name is Michael Prasad. This is where I want to serve you as your virtual communications director. Ultimately, I want to help you become your church's brand expert. I want to help you turn strangers into contributors of your vision, to steward your resources well, and to say yes to the right things. My hope is that you see more guests taking place, more life change happening as a result of that, and more people contributing to your vision. We do that in four areas here. We first want to help you get clear. From that, we want to help you create the right experience. And then a great brand is going to, number three, attract people. And number four, we want to help you get buy-in. So once people show up, they come back and they want to be part of what you're doing. So that's what a great brand does really well. And we're just dedicated to helping you do that, to cut through the noise and reach more people in your community. In this episode, I wanted to give you a glimpse at our member calls. I have a membership that we started about a year ago. I started inviting people into like a coaching membership. Just goes to a higher level of coaching than what I can on the podcast. And there's a membership area on my website. The cost is extremely low. I try to make it just as low as possible so that any church of any size, doesn't matter if you're 500 or 50, any church can get into it. Right now the cost is $37 to get into it. And you can keep going from month to month at 37, or if you just need to get out, then that's okay too. There's a money back guarantee. If it's not for you, like, just let me know. I'll get it back to you as soon as I hear from you. So there's no risk at all. I just want to help churches get this right so that you can reach more people and see those life change stories happening in your church. So this branding call is with myself and a few people that are in the membership area. And we just take a deep dive into one particular church and just talk about some of the issues that they're dealing with, just real life issues that this Pastor Kevin, was getting into. And his church is under 100 people, not a huge church, but he wants to get to the place where he's having more influence in his community. So he asked some specific questions, and we just took a deep dive into it. So I thought it'd be a great way to have a podcast episode. It's a little different from what I typically do, but I think it's going to be helpful to a lot of people. So I'm going to just play our conversation on this podcast episode, and it might be something that I do on a more frequent basis where we just go boots on the ground and we just take a look at some actual churches that are out there. They're a part of my membership, and we're just working through questions that are, issues that they're dealing with right now in their community, in their church, with their board, trying to get approvals and all that stuff that you pastors, or if you're out there as a pastor listening, that you have to deal with. And so here we go. We're going to jump into it. This is our membership podcast. This is our membership call, which is now podcast episode. Let's get to it. So Kevin, yeah, thanks for jumping on. What's your hope when it comes to like a brand or website? Like, what's your hope uh, out of all of this?
The objective is to really reassess, re-evaluate, and to really have um, a relaunch, if you want to use that term, relaunch for this fall. I know we've had the COVID-19 that we've had to deal with, and so I want to take advantage of the opportunity for this fall to have a grand opening, reintroduce myself to the community, let people know we're here, and so forth. So I'm just taking the various methodologies that you have been presenting to incorporate that in preparation for our launch.
Oh, that's great. Okay, what's your church website? Do you have one that's up?
Yes, it is New Life ccc.org. So that's New Life with three C's.org.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Awesome. So how do you feel about your website?
After reviewing some of the points that you have brought out, I think it's a good start. There's a few places there where we can include prayer requests and have a virtual tour. We've had a couple of people to visit the church, and some of the things that they had mentioned, you had mentioned, so it really clicked. And I said, I need to include a virtual tour to really samples of the messages and things of that nature, so people will actually have a virtual visit. So when they actually come, there's no expectation, no, nothing new. They will be very familiar with the environment.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have a, logo for the church?
I do. It's a tree showing growth, signifying the name New Life.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I didn't see it on the website itself. Is it on the website somewhere?
It is not.
Okay, okay, awesome. So one of the things that, you've kind of watched some of the modules, but is it okay for me to give you a couple of thoughts on your website?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. So my hope is just to help you maybe walk away with some clarity. So if I can talk directly about what it is that's going on, then my hope is to give you some clear next steps. But your logo is important. It's kind of it's the thing that people encounter the most, or it should be the thing that people encounter the most in your brand. So it represents, who we are, represents who you are to the community. So we should make it something that is on everything that we produce. Like you might have noticed that if you work at a company or if you buy a Nike products, they've always got the logo on the packaging or somewhere that's visible. And the reason is that it becomes like a representation of the brand. So whatever the experience is, that it's in line with the brand, or should be in line with the brand. So the Nike experience, they've got the swoosh on the shoe, which means like that's a Nike shoe. Like you have confidence that you can trust that that's a Nike product. So everything that Nike sells in its marketing, just do it, or active lifestyle, or any other messaging that they put out there that resonate with you. When you see that logo on the product, like you're buying that image. So in essence, like that's what we want to create with you as well, is put that logo on there. Usually the upper left-hand corner is going to be the best place for the church logo. It's prime real estate. It lets people know that they've landed in the right place. So that's another thing, is an indicator that you're on the right website. It's not somebody else's website. It's this church's website. So it serves people by having it on there. Yeah. So a growing church making disciples. That's a great like tagline. So it's a good way for people to understand what you are. So a New Life Christian Center Church kind of speaks to that you're a church. And then a growing church making disciples provides a little bit more clarity. So one of the first things you want to see on the website is what I call a tagline that gives a little bit more clarity about your unique offer to the community. So growing churches making disciples is kind of your unique offer. So that's moving in the right direction. But
Question. Now, one of the things that we had reconsidered was changing the tagline. Now, the environment in which the church is in, we have a lot of it's multicultural. You have a lot of young people and so forth. So the word disciple may not be able to be identifiable with them. So we were considering changing the tagline, such as success in life. And basically, success in life is to just say, you can, most young people or people who are aspiring to, develop their careers, they look for success. And so we were thinking that will probably be a much better tagline than what we have here.
that's great. I love your thinking. So that's exactly the way it needs to go. It needs to be language that presents a benefit. So in marketing, It's you're selling a benefit of your service or your product, whatever that is. So success in life, it's the benefit of coming to your church. So I really like that direction for you. It helps people to understand when they hit your website, what is the thing that you can help them with. So I think that's a good move for sure. And then let me just ask you, as a church, what does that look like? Like, do you have programs in place, or do you teach a certain way? What does that look like?
Well, the interesting you said that. Well, we have had over the years, there has been a changing of, well, let me, well, we've had a number of types of people to visit the church. Being that I am on the much older, mature side, my uh, skill is I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer. I've taught in institutes on the college and university level, so I tend to be more educational in my presentation. But at the same token, I'm finding that my style has to deviate to really meet the needs. And so that is a transitional process for me, and that is something I'm working on.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So there's a module as you're kind of working through some of that. And the reason that I ask is that if you're promising something like success in life, we just need to make sure that we are delivering that, if it makes sense.
Yes.
So part of it is your teaching, the way you preach or teach, or those type of things. Um, the other part of it is just your what I call your user journey. So you might recall, I don't know if you've seen this module yet or not, but the idea is how do we as a church create a system around helping people get success in life? So how do we create not just the preaching, but like other things? So for example, we kind of do the same thing here at our church down here in South Florida. We want to help people live a better story. That's our tagline. That's our promise. We want to help you live a better story. So one of the things that, even though we're a young church, we're less than a year old, we implemented Financial Peace University, because people in this area, like once we started the church, like there's a whole lot of debt in this area. So we got a program that we're offering to our church that they can go through it and get out of debt. We're offering it's a freedom course. It's called a freedom course, because there's a lot of addictions in the area. Again, the people that are coming to our church, we're just seeing kind of who they are. So we're helping them live a better story by providing a class, a program, if you will. It's 12 weeks long. It's pretty substantial. But at the end of it, like, you'll get freedom in your life from all sorts of addiction. We have a lot of people going through that. So anyway, those are the types of decisions that we're wanting to make, that's in line with this promise of, like, we want to help you live a better story. We believe if you're out of debt, you'll live a better story. We believe if you have freedom from things, that you'll live a better story.
Well, question for you. Now, one of the things I'm in the process is redesigning our church sign. In fact, we took down our old sign, and I'm in the process of going to the sign maker. And one of the things I was considering was putting the tagline on the church sign. Is that something that you would recommend, or just maintain just the New Life Christian Center Church, but on the website and all the printed material to include the tagline?
Yeah, it's a good question. If the tagline is something you feel that is going to be around for a really long time, like if you're confident, then you could put it on the sign. And it begins to give, as people are driving by, they can begin to understand, like, what is the benefit that they can get from coming to your church. That's a good thing. So for us, we feel with conviction that live a better story, like that's just what it is. So we could put that on our sign and we'd be okay with that. In the future, some churches, some brands, they have seasons of ministry. And that tagline might change from one season to another, and the season might be 3 years, or it might be 6 months. So anyway, if that's kind of where you land, if that's the way that, to kind of spiritualize it, if that's the way God kind of moves in your life as a leader, then maybe you don't put the tagline on there. Does that
Yeah.
help?
Yep, that's a very good point. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I've seen both, and I've seen very, very large, thriving churches do both methods, where they have maybe seasons, and they just do a season, right? Like VU Church. VU Church is located just south of us in Miami, and they do things in seasons. Like as long as they feel that they need to be in that season, they have a kind of a tagline for that season. I went for a visit not too long ago, and their tagline was "Brick by Brick." They're kind of in a building season where they're building up some things, and so brick by brick was their thing. But then that's going to change, and they know it's going to change. So that's how they lead and move with their church. So yeah, I would just encourage you to take a look at this brand journey and figure out how can the church holistically, like even the environments, the putting the tagline on in the lobby or something that's not so permanent, like how can everything just be in alignment with those benefits that you're providing, even like the user experience. So how do you help people walk through the 4-step journey that I unpack in the user experience, so that the end result is that they find success in life? Hey Pam, welcome to the call. I just want to make sure I get to you. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up? Kevin, I'll come back to you. I just wanted to make sure I say hi to Pam.
Oh, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hey, doing well, thanks.
I'm actually back at work today, and so I'm trying to multitask right now.
Ah,
So forgive me for that.
okay.
But no, you just gave me a brilliant idea for us because we have a theme that we've been using for the past 3 years, and it's going new places, engaging new people, and making new sacrifices. We do have a mission and a vision of the church, but that's a lot to say, and within it, it encompasses a lot too. So I just thought that maybe we need to have a tagline that we can pop that people can say quickly, and we know what that all entails. So pastor's on vacation until the end of the month. So I'm going to have to talk to him about this when he comes back.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I think for a lot of churches, having a tagline that shifts or is able to shift
Mhm.
is a good idea. It's
Right,
really hard to lock into something for like 10 years.
right, right, right. Because our vision has been the same for the past 20 years, I believe. And Pastor has added the theme that has not changed because he said that's his vision, the vision that he's been given, and that's where our focus is going to be. So we're going to go with that. But I think as we are rebranding, as we think about reopening the church, that's an opportunity for us to sort of kind of replant and have a big opening and have something to sort of kind of celebrate because of the things that we're doing during this time frame.
That's so good. That's so good. So just an example, you remember back in, I think it was the 80s and 90s, the military, the army, it was their tagline was "Be all you can be."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was around for like 15 or 20 years, which in marketing is considered really old. Like usually taglines don't last that long. And then
Right.
they, in the early 2000s, they changed it to the army of one or something like that. Um, so after a while, it shifts and it changes. And most companies uh, in the marketplace, they have a shelf life for their tagline, and then they move into a new season, and it ends up changing.
Right. Right. So, but we'll see how that goes because once we get a tagline, we sort of kind of hold on to it. It takes a minute to get them to change it, but I think this is good information. So I'm going
Awesome.
to have to go on mute because I have a another call coming in on my business line.
Awesome. No problem, Pam. Thanks for jumping on.
Okay.
All right. So Kevin, and Pam, both of you guys, I'm just going to show you Calvary Church is just an example of a different church. A lot of times I feel it's helpful to take a look at different brands and learn from maybe what they're doing and see if there's anything that sticks with you. Calvary Church is located in Iowa, Pella, Iowa. And they're very traditional, and I say very traditional because I'm from a church that isn't very traditional. So for me, it seemed very traditional to go and visit with them. But they have the logo in the upper left. So Kevin, we talked about that earlier. So like if you get a postcard mailer in your mailbox and you see that logo, when you hit the website, like this is the right place because the logo is right here. And then we have a tagline, Know God, Live with Purpose. So that's their tagline. It has a little bit of a religious feel to it. So it talks about God. Sometimes the tagline is basically, it doesn't talk anything about God. It's just more about a benefit you can have in life, such as live a better story, which is what we have gone with. But for them, they feel like know God. And honestly, for these guys, they're in Pella, Iowa. And most people in Pella, Iowa know about God and the church, and they just may not be active in the church at this time. So their audience is basically Christians. They're just trying to get them to be involved in a church community. So that's why we used a cross in their logo. We just wanted to re-engage with Christians that aren't involved in the community, within that community. We have their service times. So if you want people to show up, then that's something that we want to make sure we present. They have a bunch of different services, so we're listing all of them. Then we have kind of a vision of like, this is what you do around here. So you get connected. So when they're trying to reach people that are needing community, like they feel isolated. So a big part of the messaging of this church brand is that we want to help people to connect. And this church is really, really good at that. Very strong culture of, groups and meetings and different things throughout the week that connect with people. So you can kind of see we're showing nice photos of people in the church. And that's something else I want to just encourage, if you can, is showing authentic photos of people that are actually in the church. So if you're checking out this church, you can see yourself at the church. And it's smiling, happy pictures. So don't show the picture of somebody crying at the altar, even though that's a good thing. People from the outside don't understand that. We want to show smiling, happy pictures. And also, like, just keep in mind that your church is not going to be for everyone, and that's okay, because who you're for is going to be, if you really lean into that, the type of church that you are, then you're going to attract more people and make a greater impact because you're really focused on the people that you can make a difference with. So does that kind of help out, Kevin, as far as like what we talked about with your website?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think that these sessions are very good. There's just a lot of work that I need to do. I think visually, just from just to look at it looks nice, but there are a number of things that just needs to happen. And so, yes, it's very good. And yes, I do understand.
Okay, great. If you have any further questions, please feel free to let me know. Just what I wanted to share with just everyone on the call in general was just the brand guide for Calvary that resulted in the website that we just took a look at. So the brand guide is just basically us taking some time to go through and define what the brand is. And I think every church should do this. Most churches don't do it. Like, get some key people that are helping you with the church, and just begin to define like what is the brand that we are going for, and use my resources in the membership area to help guide you through this process. So like I have a download right here. That's your user journey worksheet. So just get that worksheet and go through it with your team. I want to provide you with everything in the member area provides you with some steps that you can do with your team to help get the clarity that you need in order to then build out the right tools to help you engage with people. So again, one of the things I wanted to show you on these calls is like how to use the resource that you have with the Church Brand Guide membership so that you can maximize it and get what you need. This is an article that we created that just is a one-page write-up about the church. So once we figured out, like, this is who we are, this is our brand script, and again, I'm just going to point back to our member area. There's a brand script module, and I want to help you figure out, like, what is your brand script. It's found in this target audience area. And once you get that brand script written down for your audience, it's basically you're defining what the story is that you're telling as a church. And this is kind of the outline of it. So you could do this for yourself with the module. And then you put together a one-page article that just writes about, what is the church? And this is where you get your content for your website. The website is not about you. It sounds kind of weird, but it's not about you, the church. It's about the audience that you serve. And you just want to speak towards their needs and make sure that that's what your website's communicating. So if I were to go back again, this website, Know God, Live with Purpose, that's what people need. Like, that's what our audience needs. They need to live with purpose. They need the service times. They need to get connected. They need to feel like they belong. And then they need to feel like we're doing something bigger together. So the entire content of the website is about the audience that we're serving. It's not about us, it's about the audience. But in a roundabout way, we are telling them that, yeah, we have small groups because we know you need community. So again, it's just a different way of thinking for church leaders, because we're you're ministers of the gospel. And my hope is to help you think on a different angle to where you can present your message in a way that is appealing to the people that you're trying to reach. Kevin, how large is your church? Just roundabout on a typical weekend?
We are fairly small. We will have anywhere between, well, since this COVID has kind of drastically changed things, but we can have anywhere from 10 to 30. So it's fairly small.
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. Okay. So no matter what size your church is, I think the getting some of these things written on paper, for you right now at the size that you're at, you can literally connect with everybody in your church. But what would be great is if you're thinking growth, then if you can write down a lot of the stuff that's in your heart, a lot of the stuff that's in your head, then it becomes something that other people can help you champion. And that's what this is really designed to help you do. This brand journey is just defining the church, like how an outsider needs to understand what your church is. The more simple we can be, it's not like 23 steps to being a good person. It's like, here's these 3 things you need to know. Here's these 4 things you need to know about being part of this church. And then also nailing down some of your values, like value statements. And on this document I'm showing you right now, there's some value statements. What it does when you write it down, it just helps you to make it consistent, or to present it consistently. So from the stage, maybe in a sermon, maybe it's in the lobby on the wall, maybe it's on an email that goes out, or a post on social media. But we just want the exact same phrasing and exact same wording as much as we can. That's what helps to build a DNA, a culture.
Got it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, any other specific, I don't want to take too much of your time. Like I said, I want to do these calls from time to time just to open it up and just hit any specific things that anybody might have. But is there anything else that you wanted to hit on specifically?
No, I mean, I think you have covered a awful lot. I do think that these meetings are very beneficial. I just need to actually, go and do some homework. One of the challenges that I have is that I am a vocational pastor,
Yes.
and so I wear a lot of hats, and I have to do things in small steps. But at the same token, having a program like this is very beneficial because it provides a guideline and says, nope, stay focused, stay on the path. And so for that reason, I think this is very good.
Awesome. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any specific questions. You can always send me an email. Just reply to the emails that I send out. And yeah, any feedback that you have, let me know. If there's something that's confusing, actually, let me just ask you right now, as far as in the membership area, what are you confused with right now?
Well, there's nothing that has been presented confusing. It's just a matter of actually spending the time. I said vocational. I meant to say bivocational pastor. So it's just really being structuring my time to be able to do the necessary things. I mean, when you stop and consider that some of the membership that I'm dealing with are people who have life challenges, dealing with that. Unfortunately, you have work, you have family. I do have children. Well, they're no children now; they're grown. So thank God for that. But at the same token, you have family, and you just have all the various aspects of life. You know the vision that God has given you. You have seen the power of God move, but it's just the coordination of all of these efforts in such a way that you don't become discouraged or burnt out or any of those types of things and remain effective. But the material that you have put together is very good, and it's just a discipline of working on this on a consistent basis to achieve the various milestones. So yes, I understand everything you presented. Yes, it's very good. I'm just working on getting it done.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again for the feedback. I'll continue to send out some emails and just letting the membership know when I'll host another, like just a Q&A session. And again, we just get to jump in and go directly to some issues that maybe you're dealing with or another church is dealing with. But it, kind of like Pam said, like our conversation helped spur on an idea for her. And that's my hope, is to build that community to where we can do that for each other. So hopefully this podcast episode today was helpful to you. It's one of the things that I'm passionate about, helping the church grow and become everything that God intended it to be. Like the vision that you have, I want to see that come to fruition. And I have the privilege with my agency to help churches as I work with them one-on-one to make their vision a reality, to make it visual, to where people can come and touch it and feel it. They get to see the logo, the websites, the signage, all those different things, and that's all part of a brand. And I love it. I absolutely love what I get to do, and I love that I get to share a lot of that on this podcast. And as of about a year ago, I get to coach churches through it in my membership area. So I'd love to encourage you, if you want to do this better, maybe you don't have a budget to hire an agency to come in and do this for you, but you just want to get it right. I'd encourage you to get into my membership area. I'll teach you how to do it. I'll teach you what a good logo design looks like and what the process looks like. So at the very least, you can guide somebody that has the skills to creating the right logo for your church. Same thing with the website, same thing with signage, a membership process. We just walk through a lot of those things in a membership area. It's videos that have been recorded where I walk you through what the strategy is and with real life examples. And then I give you some downloads that you can use to then apply it to your church. So it's packed full of photos and examples of what we're talking about. We have facility photos of lobby areas, kids areas, all sorts of different things just to help you, like a membership like classroom. There's some photos in there, like what does the membership process physically look like in a classroom. So it's just designed to provide a ton of value to help move the needle for your church. I used to design logos and just make the church look pretty, so to speak, or create a nice website. And over time, I began to realize I really wasn't moving the needle for the church, and I wanted to change that. I wanted to step into more of helping churches create a brand, which is basically what shapes a culture And culture builds momentum. It puts wind in your sail, helps you to truly move the needle for your church, where you do see more people showing up. And that's important because more life change can take place. And that's my hope for you. So thanks again for joining me on the Church Brand Guide podcast. My name is Michael Prasad, and this is where I want to serve you as your virtual communications director. And I will see you next time.